Hello, everyone. Welcome to Say It.
Hey everyone, so happy you are here with us today. I am Mike.
And I am Sarah.
So happy you are joining us. Now, before we start, we want to give a special shout out to one of our viewers. Ronnie left a comment on one of our videos 7 days ago. He wrote, "How about till and until?"
And we saw it and we thought, Ronnie is absolutely right.
So Ronnie, this episode is for you and for everyone who has ever wondered what the difference is.
Which, as it turns out, is a lot of people, including me personally.
What do you mean?
Something happened to me last month, and it is exactly what today is about.
Tell us.
I was traveling for work. I had a meeting with a colleague at the office, and I sent her a quick message. I wrote, "Don't worry, I'll be at the office until 3 p.m.
And what did you mean?
I meant I will arrive no later than 3 p.m. I am on my way. I will be there by 3.
But that is not what she understood.
Not at all. She read, Mike is already at the office. He is there right now, and he is staying until 3 p.m.
So she went straight to the office expecting you to be there.
She went straight there. She sat down, she waited and waited. She was there from 1:30 all the way until 3 o'clock.
And you?
I was still traveling. I arrived at 3:05. She had just left.
She waited 90 minutes for someone who was not even there yet?
90 minutes because of one word.
By or until. One word, completely opposite meanings.
And that is exactly what today is about. By, till, until. Ronnie asked for till and until, and we are giving him the full picture.
But before we get into it, please like and subscribe to Say It. Every new like and subscriber motivates us to prepare more episodes for you.
And if you have a topic you would like us to cover, leave it in the comments. We read every single one.
Now, let's get into it. By, till, until.
3 words about time.
And the easiest way to understand all three is to picture a line.
A line?
A straight line, starting now, ending at a point in the future.
Okay.
Until and till are the entire line.
The whole journey.
The action keeps going all the way from the start right up to that point, and then it stops.
She worked until midnight.
Working continuously, right up to midnight, then stopped. That is until, the line.
And by.
By is just the point at the end.
The deadline.
The action must be completed somewhere before that point, or at it. We do not care about the journey, only the arrival.
Please finish this by Friday.
We do not care when during the week, just done by Friday.
So until answers, how long does it keep going?
And by answers, when does it need to be done?
Same clock, 2 completely different questions.
Now, till and until.
Same meaning?
Exactly the same. Same grammar, same uses. Till is just slightly more informal.
More conversational.
Yes, in formal writing, always until. In conversation, till is completely natural.
Wait till I get back. The shop is open till 8.
Correct, every time.
And most learners think till is an abbreviation of until.
The opposite is true. Till is the older word. Until was formed from till, by adding un, meaning up to till.
So until literally means up to till.
Till came first. Until was built from it.
Everything I thought I knew.
And there are 2 more forms learners see constantly.
Which ones?
Till with an apostrophe and till without one.
What are they?
Both informal, both American English especially. Till, the apostrophe suggests something was cut from until. I'll love you till the end of time.
Song lyrics.
Constantly, social media, casual messages. And till, without the apostrophe, even more informal. Text messages, social posts.
And informal writing?
Neither. Informal writing, always until. But learners will see and hear till and till everywhere.
And now they know. Both mean until.
Every single time. So, the line, the point, and 4 ways of saying the same duration word.
Until for formal, till for conversation, till and till for informal and music.
And by, standing alone for the deadline.
Now, let us build each one properly, starting with by.
By, the deadline word. The point at the end of the line.
And the most common use?
Completing a task, Something that must be done no later than a certain time.
Please send me the report by Tuesday.
No later than Tuesday. Could be Monday, could be Sunday night, but not Wednesday, not after Tuesday.
I need to finish this by 5 o'clock.
Done before 5 or at 5, never after.
The proposal must be submitted by the end of the month.
Any point before the end, fine. After the end, too late.
And by for arrival?
When someone is coming or returning, by guarantees no later than.
She'll be back by Saturday.
She will return at some point no later than Saturday. Could be Thursday, could be Friday, but not after Saturday.
I'll be there by 7 p.m.
Not exactly at 7, no later than 7.
The package should arrive by Friday.
Somewhere before Friday or on Friday, but not after.
And by now.
What should have happened already, by this point in time.
He should be here by now.
By this moment, he should already have arrived.
You should know the answer by now.
By this point in your life, you should know it.
By now, the deadline is the present moment,
Exactly. And by then,
referring back to a time already mentioned.
the meeting starts at 9. I'll have everything ready by then.
By then, meaning by 9, already named. No need to repeat it.
She gets back on Friday. By then, we'll have figured out what to do.
Clean, natural, no repetition.
Now, by with perfect tenses, because by loves the perfect.
Why?
Because by describes completion before a point, and perfect tenses describe exactly that, something completed before another moment.
By Friday, I will have finished the report.
Future perfect. The finishing will be complete before Friday arrives.
By the time you arrive, I will have cooked dinner.
Everything ready before you walk through the door.
And in the past?
By the time he arrived, she had already left.
Past perfect. She left first. He arrived after.
By midnight, they had finished all the work.
Everything done before midnight.
By always pointing to that moment, and everything in the main clause already completed before it.
And 2 more expressions worth knowing.
No later than and at the latest. Both mean exactly the same as by, just more emphatic.
Please submit your report no later than Friday.
Same as by Friday. More formal, more explicit.
You must return by Friday at the latest.
Friday is the absolute final moment. No flexibility, no negotiation.
By, no later than, at the latest. All pointing to the same thing.
The point, the deadline, the latest possible moment.
And now, the other side of the clock.
Actually, before we move to until, there is something important about by.
What is that?
By is not just a time word. It has several completely different meanings, and learners encounter all of them constantly.
How many?
5. Same word, 5 different jobs.
Starting with,
Location. By meaning next to, beside, near.
she was sitting by the window.
Next to the window. Not at the deadline. Not no later than the window.
The keys are by the door.
Beside the door. Meet me by the entrance. He stood by the fire.
Same word, nothing to do with time.
Nothing at all. Now, by for the agent in a passive sentence.
Who performed the action?
Exactly. The report was written by Sarah. The building was designed by a famous architect.
Hamlet was written by Shakespeare.
By, showing who did it.
And by for method?
How something is done. How something is paid. I paid by card.
She travels by train.
Send it by email. He contacted me by phone. We went by car.
And no article, by car, not by a car.
Never. By train, by bus, by hand. No article before the noun in this pattern.
Always.
Always. Now, by for margin, how much something changed or differs.
Prices have increased by 10%.
By the amount of the change,
She won by 2 goals.
the gap between them, 2 goals.
He missed the deadline by 1 day.
1 day between him and success, by the margin.
I was taller than him by about 5 centimeters.
The difference, the gap, by.
And the fixed expressions?
By heart, memorized completely. She learned the poem by heart.
By mistake, accidentally. I deleted it by mistake.
By chance, unexpectedly. We met by chance.
By far, the most or best of all. This is by far the best solution.
By yourself, alone. Did you do this by yourself?
5 meanings, 1 word.
Time, the deadline. Location, beside. Passive, who did it. Method, how, margin, how much, and fixed expressions woven through everything.
Same 3 letters, 5 completely different jobs.
And now, the other side of the clock, the line. Until, till, the duration words. The action keeps going right up to the point, and then it stops.
Core meaning first.
A continuous action or state, continuing from some earlier point right up to a specified moment.
I am staying in New York until Friday.
Staying continuously, right up to Friday, then leaving.
She worked until midnight.
Working continuously, right up to midnight, then stopped.
He lived in Manchester until 2010.
From some earlier point, right up to 2010, then moved.
The action keeps going the whole time.
All the way to the point. That is, until.
Until in natural conversation.
Wait till I get back. We danced till midnight. The shop is open till 8.
Exactly the same meaning.
Every time. Now until in negative sentences, one of the most important uses and one of the most misunderstood.
What happens in negatives?
Until changes meaning completely. In a negative sentence, until means not before, not sooner than.
I won't be at the restaurant until 5 p.m.
Not before 5 p.m., arriving at 5 at the earliest.
I won't see you until Monday.
Not before Monday. Monday is the earliest possible moment.
She didn't know she was talented until she sang at the school concert.
Not before that moment. The talent was discovered at that point.
So, I won't be there until 5 and I won't be there before 5 mean the same thing.
Exactly the same. Until and before, interchangeable in that negative pattern.
Now, until as a conjunction.
Until can introduce a full clause, not just a time expression, a complete subject and verb.
Wait here until I get back.
Until introducing a clause, I get back.
Don't leave until I call you.
She'll stay here until he arrives. Let's wait till the rain stops.
And the tense rule in those clauses.
Critical. When the main clause is future, the until clause uses present simple, never future.
I'll wait until you arrive.
Not until you will arrive, present simple, always.
Don't leave until I call you.
Not until I will call you, present simple. The future meaning is already in the main clause.
The until clause stays simple.
Every time. And from till until, the time range pattern.
Combining from with the endpoint.
I worked from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The road will be closed from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. The office is open from 9 until 5.
We worked from morning till night.
All 3, to, till, until, are acceptable as the endpoint after from.
From 9 to 5, from 9 till 5, from 9 until 5.
All correct, all natural. Register decides which one you choose.
Formal until, conversational till, written schedules often to.
The line in every form.
Now, the moment where by and until stand side by side.
And this is where everything clicks. Or, if you get it wrong, where everything falls apart.
The quick test first.
2 questions. Does the action continue throughout the whole period?
Until.
Does the action need to be completed no later than a point?
By.
That is all you need. Now, the single most powerful example in this entire episode.
Go ahead.
He needs to be in bed by 10 o'clock.
He is not in bed yet. He needs to get there no later than 10.
He needs to be in bed until 10 o'clock.
He is already in bed. He needs to stay there until 10.
Same sentence, same time, same person.
Completely opposite situations.
By, he is not there yet. Until, he is already there.
One word, 2 different worlds.
Now, side by side. She worked until midnight.
Continuous working, right up to midnight, then stopped.
She had finished working by midnight.
Work was completed at some point before midnight. We do not know exactly when.
She is in a meeting until 12.
Continuously in the meeting, right up to 12. Then it ends.
She'll be at the office by 9.
She will arrive no later than 9 a.m.
Until, the line. By, the point. Every time.
And now that message from the beginning of the episode.
I'll be at the office until 3 p.m.
What Mike meant, I will arrive no later than 3 p.m.
What the colleague read, Mike is already at the office, staying until 3.
The line and the point, one word apart.
And one colleague waiting 90 minutes for someone who was not even there.
The correct version,
I'll be at the office by 3 p.m. The point, the deadline, no later than 3.
until continuous, by no later than.
And one more distinction that belongs right here.
Until versus before.
Most learners treat them as the same word. They are not.
What is the difference?
Before, something happens prior to a point, at some unspecified earlier time. Focus on what happens first.
Call me before you leave.
An instant action. Calling happens, then leaving happens. Before connects them.
And until.
A continuous process or state right up to the point, then stopping.
Wait until I arrive.
Waiting keeps going, continuously, until the moment I arrive.
So the verb type decides.
Always. Instant action, before. Continuous process or state, until.
He came home before noon.
Arriving is instant, before.
He worked until noon.
Working is continuous, until.
He slept until noon.
Sleeping is a state, continuous, until. And one more pair that catches learners constantly.
Which one?
Please return this form before you leave the room.
Correct. Returning the form is an instant action.
Please return this form until you leave the room.
Wrong. Until suggests you keep continuously returning the form, over and over.
Which would be very strange.
Very. Instant action, before. Continuous process, until.
Every single time.
Now, by has one more structure that learners need.
By the time, and this one connects directly to perfect tenses.
What does by the time do?
It introduces a reference event, something that happens at a certain moment, and the main clause describes something already completed, before that moment.
Something was already done before the event named.
Exactly. By the time you arrive, I will have cooked dinner.
The cooking will be complete before you walk through the door.
By the time the semester ends, I will have completed all my assignments.
Everything done before the semester finishes.
That is the future pattern. By the time, plus present simple in the clause, plus future perfect in the main clause.
Present simple in the by the time clause.
Never future. By the time you arrive, not by the time you will arrive. Same rule as until clauses.
And the past pattern.
By the time she arrived, most of the guests had left.
Past perfect in the main clause. The guests left first. She arrived after.
By the time the police came, the thieves had escaped.
Already gone before the police arrived.
By the time we got to the cinema, the film had already started.
We missed the beginning. It started before we got there.
Past pattern. By the time plus past simple in the clause, plus past perfect in the main clause.
Past simple in the by the time clause, not past perfect.
Never past perfect in the clause itself. By the time he arrived, not by the time he had arrived.
The clause stays simple. The main clause carries the perfect.
Always. And by the time works in both directions, past and future, with the same logic.
Something was already complete before the moment named.
The deadline logic of by extended into a full time structure.
By the time, future, present simple in the clause, future perfect in the main clause. And never future or past perfect inside the by the time clause itself.
The clause stays simple.
Now, until has one more use that is completely different from everything we have covered.
Not until, and this one carries emotion.
What kind of emotion?
Delay, surprise, the feeling that something arrived later than expected, or much later than it should have.
Show me.
She didn't know she was talented until she sang at the school concert.
She found out late, not before that moment.
He didn't realize his mistake until it was too late.
The realization came after the damage.
I didn't understand until years later.
Years. The delay is the point.
The results won't be announced until next week.
We are waiting. Longer than we want to.
Not until puts the delay front and center. The lateness is the whole feeling of the sentence.
And there is a more emphatic version.
It wasn't until, plus a time, that, plus the discovery.
It wasn't until she was 30 that she found her true passion.
The delay named explicitly, 30 years. Then, the discovery.
It wasn't until the second reading that I finally understood.
2 readings before it clicked.
It wasn't until he explained it properly that I really got it.
The structure holds the drama. The "it wasn't until" part builds the tension. The "that" part releases it.
And this structure appears constantly in storytelling, in speeches, in personal writing.
Once learners have it, they use it everywhere, because everyone has a moment that arrived too late, or just in time.
Now, a more formal version. Fronted, not until.
In formal and literary English, not until can move to the very front of the sentence, and when it does, the subject and auxiliary verb invert.
Not until he was 50 did he learn to drive.
Not until he was 50, fronted. Did he, inverted. Not, he learned.
Not until she arrived home did she realize she had left her keys.
The inversion makes it more emphatic, more dramatic.
Not until the music stopped did she realize how tired she was.
This is formal, literary. You will see it in writing, in speeches, in formal texts.
Not in everyday conversation.
Not typically. In conversation, the standard pattern. She didn't realize until the music stopped. Natural, clean.
But in writing, not until fronted with inversion. Very powerful.
The delay, right at the front of the sentence, impossible to miss.
Not until for everything that arrived later than it should have.
And now, a few confusion zones that catch learners regularly.
Two very common ones. Learners reach for until, but the right word is completely different.
First one.
Quantities, numbers, how many of something.
My car can take until 5 passengers.
Wrong. Until is for time only.
So what replaces it?
Up to.
My car can take up to 5 passengers.
Correct. Up to for quantities, for numbers, for how many.
Save until 30% on all items.
Wrong. Save up to 30%.
You may take the exam until 3 times.
Wrong. Up to 3 times.
The cinema can hold until 200 people.
Wrong. Up to 200 people. Until, time only. Quantities, always up to.
And the second confusion zone.
Distance, place names, bare nouns describing where something ends.
She drove until the motorway.
Wrong. The motorway is a place, not a time.
So what replaces it?
As far as.
She drove as far as the motorway.
Correct. As far as for distance, for where something ends physically.
Larry drove me until the shop.
Wrong. Larry drove me as far as the shop.
She ran until the corner.
Wrong. She ran as far as the corner.
But she ran until she reached the corner.
Correct. Now, until is followed by a clause, a continuous action reaching an event. Running kept going until the event of reaching happened. That is fine.
So, bare place noun, as far as.
Always. Clause with a continuous action, until is fine.
She drove as far as the motorway. She drove until she reached the motorway.
Both correct. Different structure, same destination.
And on time versus in time versus by, because learners mix these three constantly.
On time, at the scheduled moment, exactly when expected. Not late, not early.
The train arrived on time.
Everything ran to schedule.
In time, not too late, before something bad happens, before the deadline expires.
We arrived just in time for the show. She got to the hospital just in time.
A deadline is implied, and you made it.
And by, no later than, the maximum limit.
We need to be there by 7 p.m.
7 p.m. is the deadline. Arrive before it or at it, but not after.
On time, the scheduled moment. In time, not too late. By, no later than.
3 different relationships with the same clock.
And one more. In the nick of time.
The very last possible moment, cutting it as close as it can possibly be cut.
I submitted at 3 minutes to 4. The deadline was 4 o'clock.
In the nick of time.
The firefighters arrived in the nick of time.
1 more second, and it would have been too late.
On time, in time, by, in the nick of time. Same clock, 4 completely different feelings.
And now, the mistakes. The exact sentences that go wrong most often.
We will discuss 4 mistakes.
Starting with the most common and the most consequential.
Which one?
Please submit the report until Friday.
Until for a deadline.
Until suggests continuous submitting, right up to Friday, which makes no sense.
For any task that must be completed by.
Please submit the report by Friday, no later than Friday. Done.
Until, never for deadlines.
Never. Mistake number 2.
I worked by midnight.
By for continuous duration.
Working is continuous. It kept going right up to midnight.
By cannot describe how long something keeps going. By is the point, not the line.
I worked until midnight.
The line, continuously, right up to midnight, then stopped.
Continuous duration, always until, never by.
Mistake number 3.
I'll wait until you will arrive.
Future tense inside an until clause.
The until clause uses present simple, always.
The future meaning is already in the main clause. I'll wait. That is the future. The until clause does not need another future.
I'll wait until you arrive.
Present simple, clean, correct.
And the same rule for by the time clauses.
By the time you will get here, wrong. By the time you get here, correct. Present simple, every time.
Never future inside until clauses or by the time clauses.
Never. Mistake number 4.
My car can take until 5 passengers.
Until for a quantity.
Until is for time only.
For numbers, for quantities, always up to. My car can take up to 5 passengers.
And the same for distance.
She drove until the corner. Wrong. She drove as far as the corner. Correct. Bare place noun, as far as, not until.
4 mistakes, 4 fixes.
Deadline, always by, never until.
Continuous duration, always until, never by.
Future inside until and by the time clauses, never. Present simple, always.
Quantities, up to. Distance, as far as, never until for either.
4 mistakes, and every single one completely fixable. Now, let us hear everything working together in a real conversation.
The scenario, 2 colleagues, a project deadline at the end of the week. One is working from home. They are catching up on progress.
Let's go. Morning. How is everything going your end?
Honestly, better than yesterday. I was up till 2 a.m. going through the data.
Till 2 a.m.
Till 2 a.m., but I think I cracked it. I should have the analysis done by lunchtime.
That is a relief, because the client needs everything by Thursday. No extensions.
I know. By the time I finish this section, I will have completed about half the report.
Good. And the charts? Have those been done yet?
Not yet. I won't be able to start those until I finish the analysis.
Makes sense. Can you send them to me by Wednesday evening at the latest?
Wednesday evening? No problem. I'll work on them from Tuesday till Thursday morning if I need to.
And the introduction? Did Jamie write that?
She did. It wasn't until she sent it over that I realized how much the whole structure had changed.
Changed how?
We can add up to 3 more sections, apparently. The client expanded the brief.
Of course they did. Right before the deadline.
By the time we found out, I had already written the conclusion.
So now you have a conclusion with no middle.
Exactly. I'll be at my desk until 6 today sorting it out.
I'll send you my notes by 4. That should help.
Perfect. Oh, and the presentation. Did you get the slides by now?
Not yet. They should arrive by end of day.
Right. I'll work on the report until they come through. Then switch.
Good plan. Let us pause there.
How many times did by, till, and till appear in that conversation?
Let us pick out a few. I was up till 2 a.m.
Till for informal duration. The staying awake kept going, right up to 2 a.m. The line.
I should have the analysis done by lunchtime.
By, the deadline. Completed no later than lunchtime. The point.
I won't be able to start until I finish the analysis.
Until in a negative sentence. Not before, not sooner than. The starting cannot happen until the analysis is done.
It wasn't until she sent it over that I realized how much the structure had changed.
Not until. Delayed revelation. The realization came late, later than expected. The it wasn't until that structure landing naturally in real conversation.
By the time we found out, I had already written the conclusion.
By the time, past reference, past simple in the clause, found out, past perfect in the main clause, had already written. Something completed before the reference event.
I'll be at my desk until 6 today.
Until for duration. Continuously at the desk right up to 6. Then stopping. The line. And we can add up to 3 more sections.
Up to for quantities, not until. Numbers always take up to.
Every single structure. One conversation. And none of it felt like a grammar exercise,
It felt like a deadline that just got more complicated.
which is every project ever.
And every deadline that gets more complicated right before the end.
Which is exactly why these 3 words matter so much. Get them wrong at the wrong moment?
And someone waits 90 minutes for a person who is not even there yet.
So, before we go, let us go through everything one more time, quickly and clearly.
Until, the line. The action keeps going right up to the point, then stops. Until for formal, till for conversation.
Till and till, informal American forms. Song lyrics, social media. Both mean until, never informal writing.
By, the point, the deadline. No later than. The action must be complete before or at that moment.
The quick test, does the action continue throughout? Until. Must it be completed no later than a point? By.
Present simple in until clauses and by the time clauses, never future. I'll wait until you arrive. By the time you get here, I'll have finished.
Not until. Delayed revelation. It wasn't until she was 30 that she found her passion. Fronted. Not until he was 50 did he learn to drive. Formal and emphatic.
By, not just time, location, agent, method, margin, and fixed expressions. By heart, by mistake, by far.
Up to for quantities, as far as for distance. On time is scheduled moment. In time, not too late. By, no later than.
Now your challenge, 2 sentences. One with by, one with until. A deadline you have, and something that will continue until a certain point.
Write them in the comments. We read every single one.
And if this episode helped you, please share it with someone who is learning English right now. And subscribe to Say It so you never miss a new episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.